Hey everyone, my name is Adam, and I'm here just to give you a quick rundown of some of the basic play mechanics behind FLootball. Primarily what we're going to talk about in this short video is how owners actually earn loot through their fantasy players' performances during the course of games, how to equip that loot once you get it, and how the loot modifies your players' point scores to help your team win. So first of all, how do you earn the loot in the game? Well, loot can be earned in FLootball when an owner starts a player that meets certain individual statistics we call loot drop milestones during the course of the game they are playing in that week. And you can see some of those loot drop milestones here in the graphic provided. So for instance, if your fantasy quarterback passes for over 300 yards in a game, he will have reached a loot drop milestone, and your team will be rewarded with either an item or with gold. That item can then be equipped on one of your fantasy players to upgrade their stat outputs for the following week's games. Gold that you earn can be used at the in-game store to purchase additional items. Okay, so that's a natural segue to the second part of this video, where we'll talk about how you actually equip the loot and how the loot modifies our players' fantasy performances. So here I'm doing a little screencast of a pre-existing league we had going while we were testing last year. And you can see over on the right-hand side of the screen the league scoreboard, where during those Sundays when the games are going on, you can go to the live scoring and see how it's going. So let me just pick one from week 1. And anybody familiar with head-to-head fantasy football will recognize this screen. You have the two teams matched up against each other. What you don't see on normal fantasy are the loot drop boxes that you see under a couple of these players. These icons are meant to indicate that those particular players reached loot milestones, like we talked about earlier, during the course of their games, which caused a piece of loot to drop for their owner. So, for example, you can see Matt Ryan here. For reaching the 300 passing yard threshold, he received a loot drop of legendary gloves, which are really nice because they add bonuses to a couple different categories. Matt Forte also received a legendary item for that rushing touchdown that he had. And then over here you can see Andrew Luck, Ray Rice, Reggie Wayne, Martellus Bennett, they all received a loot drop as well. What they received was gold. Each time you see one of these treasure icons, that means that the player, instead of receiving an item drop, they received a drop of gold, of 250 gold coins to be exact. And you can use the gold that you gathered here in the loot shop, the item shop, to buy additional items other than those that you receive during the course of a game. So this player, while he didn't receive any items, he got 1,000 gold coins, which he can use to buy. That would probably net him about 2 rare items in the shop. So just want to show you that real quick. So now how do we equip that stuff? Alright, so you can go to the loot locker once you have your items, and this kind of gives you an overview of what you have. Your helmets, your jerseys, your gloves, your cleats, your pants. And from here you can equip the items on your various players. You click on a player from this drop down menu and select the guy you want to equip. So let's say we want to equip our quarterback, Nick Foles, who should be a pretty nice fancy pick this year. So with Nick, we want to obviously put stuff that's going to give bonuses to his to the passing categories for passing yards. So I'm pretty sure that the Army helmet's good for passers. Yes, it is. See, it'll give him 42%. It's a modifier 42% on passing yards and a 25% on passing touchdowns. So that's definitely a helmet that we'll want to use on Nick Foles. And as you can see up here, you can see the changes that the bonuses are going to give him as you're equipping him. So let's see. I know that the Cowboys stuff, this is also good for quarterbacks, as you can see right there. Put that on. And we've got the Army gloves. That's always good to stack items of the same set. So we've got an Army helmet and Army gloves, and I'll explain that in a moment. Let's see, for his cleats, we've got the Cowboy cleats here. Okay. And we'll go with this. Alright, and just to mention, you see this little icon here. That allows you to sell an item back to the store that you're not going to use if you have a couple duplicates. We have 3 ninja helmets here, so we can sell this back to the store, sell the item, and it nets you 25 gold that you can use towards buying an item in the shop. So all right, so this is one way to equip your players through the loot locker. A more interesting way to do it, if you're like in a rush, you can, from the manage team page while you're setting your lineup, you can click on Nick Foles here, and it'll bring up his player card, and you can equip items on him from here. So I didn't save what I did earlier, so I can just drag and click here, put an item on, jerseys, give him some gloves, and pants. Alright, so Nick Foles is now outfitted in a bunch of loot, and you can see from this card, it really tells you what difference it makes when you have your player equipped in some really good items. So Nick Foles, he was averaging about 15 fantasy points per game without any loot on, with just the normal scoring rules, where a touchdown equals 4 points, a passing touchdown equals 4 points, 25 yards passing equals 2 points, etc. Well, wearing this loot, it's that player who was going to give you a 15 fantasy point day on average is now going to give you a 48. And this is due to the bonuses that you're getting. Okay, just to give you a quick rundown for how exactly an individual item would affect your score. Let's say Nick Foles has on the Dragon Gloves here, which give a 51% bonus for rushing touchdowns. And in the league, 4 points is how much you usually get for a touchdown. Well, every time Nick Foles scores a rushing touchdown, he's going to get 6 points as opposed to 4 due to that 50% bonus he's getting from the Dragon Gloves. So that's just kind of like a simple example. And as you can imagine, as you keep on adding items to the players, their scores are just going to get higher and higher and higher. And it results in some pretty neat showdowns towards the end of the year, as you start to build your squad with more gear. So that's pretty much the gist of it, and thanks for watching. Hope you'll keep playing, and if you have any more questions, you can email us at info@FLootball.com, and you can also check out our support page. It's pretty good. It's got some answers to those frequently asked questions about the loot system that we often get. So, all right, thanks for watching.